So this week's tragic shooting in Uvalde, Texas has led the nationwide, obviously, to heartache, but also grief questions and the importance of gun safety as in a view for Americans look to solutions on gun violence. For more on this, let's welcome in Executive Vice President of Gun Owners of America, Pratt. Sir, welcome to Wake America.
Thank you so much for having me. It's good to be with you, Carl.
Yeah. So I want to talk to you about a couple things. You're very familiar with the Connecticut's 1160 bill, which was passed after Sandy Hook, which had three components to it. One was gun confiscation and restrictions on the AR-15s and large capacity magazines. The other was securing our schools. And then there was mental health. Why do Democrats continuously push bills that immediately go to take away the guns, sometimes do and sometimes don't have mental health and school security aspects in them, but if they do, like in Sandy Hook, they do not implement them?
Isn't it remarkable? They are always on the wrong side of things. First of all, Carl, let me just say on behalf of the GOA team, we are very heartbroken for the families who were affected by that evil monster. And at GOA, we've been praying for them. But, you know, we do need to do something. And the Democrats, the anti-gun left talks about doing something. Right. But the thing that we need to do is to repeal the laws that keep good people defenseless. You know, in Texas, that Border Patrol agent who took out the bad guy in Uvalde, he believes that teachers should be armed. And according to polling, 81% of cops agree with him. And with good reason, because no school has ever had a mass shooting where there were armed teachers and staff. And as you're pointing out, that's the very thing that the anti-gun left is always opposing. You know, there are thousands of schools where teachers are armed in this country. There has not yet been an attempted mass shooting in any of them. But in Texas, 70% of the schools do not have armed teachers. And tragically, the Uvalde school is one of them, which is a problem because killers target these gun-free zones. Right. Carl, I know you know the stats on this. 94% of mass shootings occur in places where guns are banned. Yeah. Why is that? Because they don't want bullets being fired back at them. This is why they don't target police stations. They don't target gun shows. Killers love gun control, and that's what enabled this killer in Texas. And sadly, the anti-gun left has really, they have blood on their hands because they've enabled that.
Well, we talk about red flag laws, and I know red flag laws are you know, in many aspects are a constitutional no-no. They deny due process. They do a bunch of stuff that don't let that allow law enforcement to take people's gun without any representation whatsoever. However, that said, when we talk about red flag versus red flag laws, the red flags here, and correct me if I'm wrong, sir, you know this, if you are a danger to yourself or others, that is criteria for removing your firearm, especially removing your ability to buy further firearms. Why was it not reported that he shot BB guns at people, that he cut his own face, that he was known as the, quote, school shooter on a video game tag? Like, why was none of this reported? Is this a fault of the ever so woke and accommodating society?
Yes, it is. And, you know, Carl, there are Baker Act type laws in all 50 states where people can go through due process and they can be involuntarily committed if they are a danger to themselves or others. Mm-hmm. And they do lose their constitutional rights at that point. But there is a due process for that. Sadly, you know, whenever you talk about red flags, that brings to mind, you know, the pre-crime unit in Minority Report type idea. You know, throw due process out the window, arrest people, or actually arrest the guns, not the people. And what's interesting, you know, you were mentioning earlier on the show, 19 states and D.C. have these red flag laws that throw due process out the window. States like California, Colorado, Florida, Indiana, New York. And isn't it interesting that none of those states have been able to stop mass shootings from occurring? Yeah. And that's part of the problem, is that they go in and rather than dealing with the person and committing them, they arrest the guns and leave the person in a volatile environment where they can use other weapons or they can steal weapons and they still commit harm.
So, Eric, I want to talk to you about the Nra Rally that happened this past weekend. Unfortunately, right after this tragedy, there was a number of people, and we're not talking about like 5 or 10, we're talking about dozens and hundreds at one point of anti-gun leftists protesting against the gun ownership of private citizens. Now, They were out there yelling. One commentator on non-mainstream media even advocated for bombing the NRA convention. There were people out there calling them cowards, swearing at them, threatening them. How many lawful gun owners go out and protest these anti-gun people with threats?
Isn't it remarkable? The anti-gun left, which is supposedly so peaceful and loving, they're some of the most hate-filled people and really trying to take away our rights. I mean, you have Michael Moore talking about repealing the Second Amendment. That's just going to leave people defenseless. Isn't it amazing? And Carl, you and I were talking about this not too long ago, where the anti-gun left was praising the Ukraine for handing out automatic weapons to its civilians, even down to 18-year-olds,
Yes.
18-year-olds to defend the nation. And now, where is that? I mean, the day after that tragic shooting in Texas, there was a woman in West Virginia who used her concealed handgun to stop a bad guy with an AR-15. That's why we have a Second Amendment.
Eric Pratt, Gun Owners of America, we appreciate you joining us today.
Thanks, Carl.